Hey guys, it's Communications, and welcome to my rant on Spider-Man 3. This was a lot worse than I remember it being. And this is a movie that, when it first came out, I was really excited to see it because I was a huge Spider-Man fan. I think I was a big fan of Spider-Man 2. I really liked the first one, and when I remember this being one of the first movies I saw in the new IMAX. Not the whole dome IMAX, the IMAX that we have now in theaters. It was like the first time I remember seeing that. Excuse me, I just think my camera's kind of crooked over here. But anyway, it was the first time I remember seeing anything in the IMAX, and I remember it being pretty impressive. And I remember walking out of the theater, thinking that I liked it. And then I remember when it first came out on DVD, my mom and I went to Blockbuster and we saw it for sale, and I convinced her to buy it. She spent $23 on this thing. And then I remember watching it on DVD, a little bit later after we bought it, and I remember being really disappointed. I remember being really upset. I remember feeling, just angry. Because I was like, wait a second, this isn't the good movie that I saw in the theater. This is a piece of shit. What happened? And then I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it again until most recently, today. And oh god, this was a chore to sit through. I mean, Amazing Spider-Man 2, I think is 10 times better than this movie. It has some of the same problems, different sort of things going on here and there. But even that movie isn't as cluttered as Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 doesn't just have three villains, but it almost seems like it has three different, dramatic subplots going on. And I'll get into it soon enough, about the numerous, myriad of fucking issues this movie has. Um, but right off the bat, if you like the movie, that's cool. It's fine. There's actually people who really like Spider-Man 3, and that's cool. But I think it's considered one of the worst sequels for a good reason. I think it is an absolute travesty of a Spider-Man film. There's barely any Spider-Man in it, for one. The majority of the film, it seems like a soap opera melodrama. And it just seemed like Sam Raimi was trying out for seeing if he could get some work, if his career struggles, directing some episodes of Days of Our Lives or some shit. It really did seem like a lot of this stuff was totally soap opera bullshit. Harry getting amnesia, the fucking relationship with Mary Jane and Peter Parker, and it was just poorly written by Sam Raimi, and the whole idea that the whole plot involving Mary Jane wanting to break up with Peter, and because of what? Because he lip locked Gwen Stacy because he was being egged on by the crowd during the Spider-Man celebration. It wasn't a kiss that meant anything. She should know better instead of acting like a jealous bitch. She was totally a bitch in this movie. You didn't really, you were like, wow, what a bitch. Even when she didn't do as well as she had hoped in her first Broadway production, and the critics were scathing, and she went to Peter for help, and Peter was comforting her, saying, "I get some stuff with Spider-Man. I understand how you feel. And you don't understand how I feel. You know, it's not about you, Peter. It's about me. Like seriously, like what the." What a bitch. He's trying to help you, and you're like, it's not about you. It's about me. But anyway, there's a lot of that in this movie. And what is up with Sam Raimi's obsession with fucking show tunes or jazz music or old, oldies in this goddamn movie? You hear, the twist. You gotta do the twist, and then you have the beginning. It's so cringe-inducing. You're like, this is a Spider-Man movie? This is a Spider-Man movie? We'll open up Mary Jane singing some Broadway tunes and seeing Peter uncomfortably sitting in the front row, singing, mouthing the words of the song she's singing like a complete dork in public. Like, it just seems like Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker in this film is just a complete fucking dork. Like, I understand Peter Parker's not the coolest guy, but man, he's such a dweeb in this movie. So, and his acting, especially, it got a little bit better as the film went on, as the long ass movie went on. this 139-minute long film, this 2-hour and 19-minute long movie. Well, I mean, 120 minutes is 2 hours, yeah. So it's not 2 hours and 29 minutes. It's 2 hours and, see, 120, 30. Yeah, 19. Yeah, 2 hours and 19 minutes pretty much. But that's including the end credits. It's only like 2 hours and 14 minutes, but it's still too fucking long. This movie is overlong. It's overstuffed. It's bloated. And it has way too many fucking things going on at once. And so you have the whole thing. It starts off really badly with cringe-inducing performance by Tobey Maguire. You know, mouthing the words of this song, and you're starting out with show tunes and Broadway. It's like, am I watching a Spider-Man movie? It even like lies. It almost feels like, oh, we go for the opening credits, and then we go to Spidey swinging in the air, and he's talking about he's Spider-Man. You know, I'm your friendly neighborhood, you know who. And then it cuts back, and it's like it's not even really a real scene with Spider-Man. It's a video recorded like a thing that's on a billboard in New York. Because now the whole plot of this movie is centered around. The big thing is that New York loves Spidey now. They don't hate him anymore. So, which is okay, kind of interesting. All right, I'll give it that. But it's just like, it's a Spider-Man. It's the third Spider-Man movie, and literally, you do not get to see Spider-Man actually see Spider-Man get into any kind of action scene or any kind of action, at least with his costume on, until the 31-minute mark. That's when you finally see Spider-Man in your Spider-Man 3. That's a little bit too long of a wait, to be honest, because we've already developed characters with the first two movies. Should just start off with Spider-Man. Not more of this dramatic bullshit with Mary Jane and Peter Parker. Peter's in love with her and he wants to. I'm in love. I need to get a ring. And I did this and this and that. You were great, Mary Jane. Oh, okay, all right. The reviews are in. They said you sucked. Oh, that's horrible. And then you also bring in the whole thing with Harry, because now all of a sudden now he's the Goblin now, which I think was kind of hinted at in the end of Spider-Man 2. But now he's a Goblin. It is like, I'm a goblin, you know, I'm the goblin now, and he goes after Peter in a really lame action sequence where you have Harry Goblin, or the Hobgoblin as I like to call him, but he's not the Hobgoblin. No Hobgoblin in my opinion. This is a shitty Hobgoblin, flying around on his stupid-ass snowboard, and the whole design for Harry's Goblin suit looked lazy as fuck. So he's going after Peter in these really shitty CGI action sequences, and he's trying to grab his ring, you know, or like his butt ring, nipple ring, you know, nose ring, tongue ring, dick ring. They're trying to grab his ring, you know, that he bought for Mary Jane because he wants to marry her, and it's just I thought it was a lame action sequence. And it was just really cartoonish looking. The CGI sucked. You had the whole scene and it ends really cartoonishly and corny and lame, where he knocks Harry off of his glider by setting up a tripwire of web, like it's some Scooby-Doo shit. You know, because Harry can't do the limbo, and clong, oh, he gets knocked off it, falls on a dumpster. And then the next scene, and this is such a corny-ass scene and a cheesy scene, and then the next scene, it's really serious because Harry's in the hospital and he has amnesia. It's so sad and so horrible. And I'm like, were you fucking kidding me? The early scene before this, it was literally some shit out of like a Tom and Jerry cartoon, and now you're like, oh, it's so serious, so serious. That's one of the problems with this movie. The tone is fucked up because you have corny ass, goofy ass comic book, you know, style of action sequences, but understand what's a comic book movie, and then you have serious fucking soap opera dramatic bullshit, and it just does not work. It's a bad tone, bad call, Sammy boy, bad call. And then literally the movie just continues to just trudge on and on. You have multiple different storylines that pop up. You have Harry Goblin. Now he has amnesia. Okay, that got solved pretty easily. Okay, now he's not going to go after Peter. Of course, later on, oh no, he gets his memory back out of the blue. But then not only that, now we got to bring in the subplot with the Sandman with Thomas Haden Church. And that's one of the few things about this movie I liked, was the Sandman. I thought Thomas Haden Church did a really good job as that character, as Marco. He was one of the best actors in the film, the best performance, and you felt for this guy because he was robbing banks and stuff, but he was doing it for his daughter because he didn't have enough money, and he was trying to save his daughter who was sick. So you it's kind of like one of those I kind of do understand why he's doing what he's doing type things, but he's on a run from the law. He gets trapped in some science thing experiment somewhere they're doing outside in some desert somewhere, and he gets turned into the Sandman. And I thought the effects in that were great. The Sandman effects, for the most part, are really well done. The other effects, the fights with Spidey and the Goblin in the beginning were awful. It's just like really uneven, just like the movie. The movie itself is uneven, so it makes sense that the special effects would be uneven. So, and then the score, too. I like Danny Elfman. I don't care for this score. I know there's people who like this score, but I do not like this score. I thought it was over the top. The score was so over the top, in my opinion. Oh, it's Christopher Young did the score, not Danny Elfman. And I like Christopher Young. He's one of my favorite composers. He did the score for The Fly 2. He did the score for, Hellraiser films. What the fuck is this? Like, his score just, I thought it sucked. I thought it was over the top, and it felt like he was trying to do the score for Batman Forever. There were some notes in this that totally sounded like music I heard in Batman Forever. And I'm like, this doesn't work. I just thought it was a shitty score. I just thought it was really over the top, and in moments where it should just be a little bit more toned down. It was just a little bit too much. And once again, just like this movie, too much shit going on in the score and too much shit going on in the movie. So you had the whole thing with Sandman, and he wants to save his daughter. He gets turned into the Sandman, and they have the whole thing now dealing with Spidey and how New York loves him, and they're going to have a celebration for Spidey, and this pisses Kirsten Dunst off because she's a bitch. Mary Jane's a bitch. She's feeling jealous of Peter because New York likes Spider-Man. Why not? He's saving people. He's being a good guy. Oh, fuck you, Peter. How dare you? Yeah. Well, tell about me. What about me and my needs? So she feels jealous right from the beginning about this. Like I said, even when he's trying to help her out, trying to be a good guy and trying to help her out, she's being a bitch. And then later in the whole celebration scene, of course, before that, he ends up saving Gwen Stacy. He's played by Bryce Dallas Howard, and she's pretty hot, but, I didn't think she was that bad at Gwen Stacy, actually. She wasn't that bad. So a lot better than fucking Kirsten Dunst, bitch Mary Jane, bitch Jane. So, bitchy Jane. So, anyway, so it's just, I didn't mind Bryce Dallas Howard, but then he had the whole action sequence, which I didn't mind the rescue scene where he rescues Gwen Stacy. I like the scene, I like the way they set it up, where Spidey has to leap from, the debris that's fallen from the building. He has to leap from one piece of debris to another piece of debris to off another piece of debris to save her. I thought it was actually a pretty good effect and a decent little sequence. But it's a little sequence. It doesn't save the movie. The movie's still a fucking piece of shit. The movie's still Shitterman 3. I said it. Shitterman 3. Because the movie is made by a bunch of shitters. Shitters! You're a bunch of shitters, all of you! Shitters! So anyway, so Shitterman 3. So he saves her. That Gwen Stacy in that one decent scene with the skyscraper where the crane messes up and she gets knocked out of the window of the skyscraper and she's trying to hold on and she falls and Spider-Man saves her by jumping off from pieces of debris. I didn't mind that scene. Okay, all right. And then he saves her. And then he gets a celebration, and then you have a few more scenes where you have Peter trying to hang out with Harry, trying to be there for him. And in those few scenes, like very brief moments where Peter is hanging out with Harry, you could see genuine chemistry. Where he's hanging out with him at his mansion, and he gave him his old basketball. Peter gave Harry his old basketball they used to play as a kids. And there's actually genuine chemistry. And I was like, why isn't there more of this? Because these two actually seem to have chemistry, unlike Kirsten Dunst and Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire. Peter and MJ have no chemistry in this movie. They're just so distant and so far apart. And it just seems like maybe it's because on purpose, because Mary Jane's such a blaming bitch in this movie. But anyway, so you have the whole sort of thing where you have, the whole little moment of bonding with Peter and Harry, which I like. But then you cut back the whole thing, Mary Jane's being a bitch, and then he goes in. Then you have the whole scene where he goes in, he's going to be the Spider-Man celebrate. She gets fired. She finds out, that she's getting replaced on her Broadway show because she doesn't have a voice that carries. And the line of dialogue that the producer says to her after, that she shows up is like, what's she doing here? You didn't have the other guy call her agent? Oh, Mary Jane, we're so sorry, but, we could make it we could write it as if you were sick. And she's like, oh, never mind. And she walks out, and then the guy's like, oh man, we really handled that one poorly. Perfect. That's a perfect description for this fucking movie. Man, we really handled that one poorly. We really fucked that one up. Because it's true. Really did fuck it up. In more ways than one. In more ways than just the stupid dancing scene, which are fucking atrocious. And it was just so awful they left me speechless, which I'll get into later. But that's not the only issue. You have you have so many shit going on. So you have the whole thing now where Spidey, oh, of course, I forgot about the symbiote crashed. The meteor crashed into the Earth, and the symbiote hitched a ride on Peter's bike. So you have that going on, too. The symbiote is hanging around in his apartment, waiting for, later in the film. It's very convenient that a meteor just crashes just at that same point when Peter and Mary Jane are there, so the symbiote hits a ride on his bike. Instead of the interesting, really kind of cool idea that was in the cartoon, where the the 90s animated series, where they find, John Jameson goes into space, a space shuttle, and finds a symbiote rock, and it, he brings it back with him, and then you have a really harrowing sequence where the space shuttle starts crashing into New York. It's going to crash into New York and in the New York harbor because the symbiote is messing up and fucking things up. Spider-Man has to save Jonah Jameson's son. From a space shuttle and crashing into, New York. No, not that. No. It's very cheap, convenient fucking meteor falls down like it's the fucking Blob or some shit. And I like the Blob, but come on. The symbiote isn't the Blob. So it's, but they fucked up the symbiote angle so much, and I'll go more in depth than that. I'll go more in depth on that soon enough. But anyway, so they have the whole sort of, so Hitches a ride on his bike. He does the whole thing, saves Gwen Stacy. That's the first time you see Spider-Man doing anything, other than watching the little clip in the beginning of the movie. And then you have the whole sort of, you have some more stuff where he meets with Aunt May, and she gives him a ring, because he thought about buying the other ring, but it's actually his Aunt May gives him a ring. She's going to give it to MJ. And then he ends up having the whole celebration for Spider-Man. Mary Jane's already pissed because she got fired, but then she never really told Peter. She never told him this one damn time, so he couldn't be there to support her and be like, man, that's horrible. So he didn't know how she was feeling because she didn't tell him that she got let go from the production because, like I said, she's a bitch. So then you go on, and I'm sorry, that's the word that comes to mind for Kirsten Dunst's Mary Jane in this movie. Do you love me? Tell me you love me, Peter. Tell me you love me. I don't know, just makes me think that she's, a dominatrix or some shit. Super uber bitch in the sack. Dressing up in skin tight leather and whipping Peter's ass after hours. So anyway, so so you have that whole scene in the celebration, which I thought was kind of cool to see. This time you actually see the opposite. New York actually loving Spidey, but you saw that kind of in the first film. But, now it's all widespread across the city. And what happens is Gwen Stacy's going to give him the key to the city. And the crowd's egging him on. The crowd's like, kiss her, kiss her, kiss her, kiss her, kiss her, kiss her. And since this is a celebration for the people of New York, Peter and Spider-Man does what the city wants. And he kisses Gwen Stacy. And this sends Mary Jane off in a jealous rage. Oh, how dare he? That was our kiss. And then you're like, what a fucking bitch. You didn't tell him the truth that you got let go. You acted like a bitch when he was trying to help you earlier and trying to comfort you with the bad reviews. But you're all, it's about me, not about you. And then you're constantly asking him, do you love me? And it's like, you should already know that by now. Unless you need that self-satisfaction. You need that ego stroke. Bitchy Jane. So anyway. So then you go in. And she's jealous now of Peter. And he has this idea where he's going to come. And he's going to go to... He has her set up at a restaurant. And then you have this stupid scene with Bruce Campbell as a French waiter. Which isn't funny at all. He calls Peter Pecker. He's like, Peter Pecker? It's Parker. Peck, like I said, yeah, Pekka. And I'm like, I called him a pecker. So fucking hilarious. No, stupid. And it's just like the movie just comes to a screeching halt with these stupid, corny ass moments where Sam Raimi's trying to inject his sense of humor into this movie, and it just doesn't work. It's just like, no, we don't need the Bruce Campbell cameo. Because it's not a funny Bruce Campbell cameo. It's just Bruce Campbell trying to be John Cleese and failing miserably. So, this whole setup, he's going to put the ring and the champagne. She shows up and she basically says, we're through. I can't do this. It's like, you don't understand what it feels like, what it's like to be me. You don't understand how I'm feeling right now. Yes, I do. And then he goes in and Peter's a dumbass. He starts talking about, in a fully packed restaurant, talking about, basically just telling everybody in the restaurant he's Spider-Man, pretty much. Saying that, oh yeah, I know how you feel, because I know sometimes go around and, people are shouting Spider-Man, Spider-Man, and I'm like, and he literally says some lines of dialogue to say, like, yeah, I'm Spider-Man, and I go around, and he admits that he's Spider-Man to an entire fucking restaurant. Deluded. And then earlier, before Mary Jane even comes in, Peter's talking to himself. What is he, nuts? And he hasn't even had the symbiote attached to him yet. He's just acting like a complete, utter, crazy person. And I know love makes him mad, but I don't know if it makes you a schizophrenic. So anyway, he's talking to himself, and then he's giving his identity away to anyone who might want to choose to hear it in this restaurant. And of course, Mary Jane storms off because she doesn't think he doesn't understand her, and I can't do this right now. And she thinks he's talking all about him again, and nothing about her. And it's like, it's not all about you either. He tried to help you earlier, and you were like, meh, whatever. It's all about me, not you. So it's just like, oh, and then just have constant scenes of this, and you're like, is this a Spider-Man movie, right? This is Spider-Man 3, right? This is not Days of Our Lives 3, or General Hospital 3. Is it Young and the Restless 3? No, it isn't. It's Spider-Man 3. So where the fuck is my Spider-Man in my Spider-Man 3? Because I'm sick and tired of this bullshit fucking relationship with Mary Jane and Peter Parker, two people and two actors who have zero chemistry and don't seem to... It doesn't even seem like they even like each other. So don't focus on this fucking story. That's I didn't mind it in the other most recent Spider-Man movies, because I felt that Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield actually had chemistry, and the characters were written better, and Gwen Stacy never really came across as a stone cold bitch like Mary Jane. So goes in, and you still have the same shit with Harry having fucking amnesia. Then you have a decent fight scene where Spidey fights Sandman. I didn't mind that. Sandman first shows up, and Spidey fights him, but Spider-Man ends up being defeated pretty much. You can't beat him, which is much like the comic. He tried to stop Sandman. Sandman beat him the first time around because he didn't know what to do. Spidey didn't know how to beat him yet. And then you go from that, and you get some more drama with Mary Jane and Peter Parker. I don't give a fuck about stupid, the fucking landlord trying to be funny, not working. A J. Jonah Jameson scene where Betty Brant keeps pressing this fucking button that's irritating to my fucking ears. It's supposed to be hilarious. It's supposed to be like, Mr. Jameson, don't forget to take your blood pressure pills. Bah! Mr. Jameson, you need to not be so stressed out. Bah! It's like, I understand it's supposed to be a joke, but it's not fucking funny. It's just obnoxious. It's like I already hear that noise when my alarm clock goes off every morning. I don't need to hear it in a movie that I'm sitting down to watch, which I want to be entertained by. And another problem with this movie is fucking boring. It's 2 hours of fucking melodrama and fucking bullshit and soap opera shit and talking. And you're like, where the fuck is the action? It's few and far between. So you have the one Sandman fight. It's not that long of a fight. Then you go back to more fucking drama. And then you have the symbiote shows up and the effects are good. I'll give it that. The effects for the most part in this film are pretty good, except for some chintzy CGI here and there. But the symbiote effects are pretty good. And so then he's feeling bad because he found out. This is a great plot too. That he found out that Captain Stacy called Peter into his office and told him that, well, that one guy who you thought killed your uncle, well, he didn't kill your uncle, was actually this guy, and he's still at large. So I just thought I'd let you know. And of course Peter's pissed. Like, why didn't you tell me this earlier? Like, wait 2 years. Like, well, we did that. They didn't have any reason not to tell him because it was a screenplay excuse. It was Sam Raimi and his buddies pulling shit out of their fucking ass and putting it on a fucking piece of paper and saying, yeah, that's good. Yeah, make the whole fucking first movie and the whole scene where he kills the guy, but pretty much out of anger. Like, he doesn't necessarily. It's intended that the guy fell out and he landed on something and died, but you get the point. The point is that Peter, out of anger, intended to kill this guy, and then he realized after that I'm not gonna do that. That's not what I'm about, and that's the wrong thing to do. What will my Uncle Ben think about this? No, no, no. So he killed that guy for no goddamn reason, or thought about killing that guy for no goddamn reason. And the whole scenes of the first movie that deal with that, him going after his Uncle Ben's killer, are completely pointless now in retrospect. Thanks a lot. I love that. The fucking sequels make shit, it makes things and moments in the other earlier movies completely fucking pointless. Nice. Great job, Sammy boy. And so, and I don't remember ever reading a single fucking comic where Sandman was his Uncle Ben's killer. So that's fucking bullshit. So that you added that going on in there too. So let's see how many different. Oh, then we have another subplot that shows up too, where Eddie Brock Jr., played by Topher Grace, in one of the most horribly miscast roles. What if you've ever read a Spider-Man comic and you've seen dealing with Venom? You know that Eddie Brock is not some scrawny fucking kid from that 70s show. Okay, he's not the dumbass from that 70s show. Eddie Brock is built like a fucking tank. Eddie Brock is like Kurt Russell and Stargate. Eddie Brock is like Howie Long or somebody like that. Eddie Brock is not some scrawny fucking white guy. That's not Eddie Brock. And I don't know what they were thinking, like an anti-Peter Parker or some shit. That's not interesting. We don't need another whiny little, bitch. Because pretty much Peter Parker in this is a whiny little bitch. Crying and crying and he even cries a lot at the end. I mean, I've never seen Spider-Man cry so damn much. I understand Spider-Man's had a lot of tough things in his life. But I don't remember any comic I've read where he just cries and bawls like a fucking baby. Like in this movie. I understand your friend and all this is happening. Come on. Save it for the funeral. So, or do it, but don't do it. But it just seems so... I think that's why. It didn't seem sincere. Because the way it was shot, it just seemed so goddamn melodramatic. And that's the biggest problem in this movie. All the emotions seem fake and just not real. There's no impact, no emotional impact to any emotional scenes in this because it just seemed like they're totally scripted, or the music is trying to make it cloying, or you have the lighting and the way the sun is setting is trying to set the mood, and it just doesn't seem real. The one scene in Amazing Spider-Man where you had Andrew Garfield, you know, crying over his Uncle Ben, holding him in his arms, you know, and holding, and seeing him die. That has more emotion than any scene in this fucking movie. So then you have the whole subplot with Eddie Brock Jr., this fucking obnoxious little punk, bitch, Topher Grace, fucking feathered blonde hair, and he's a subplot. Now it's competition in the Daily Bugle. So J. Jonah Jameson sets this thing up. They both want, jobs. So he says, okay, just hire this new guy, Eddie Brock, and he's like, all right, you can get paid jobs, full paid jobs in the company if you get a picture that shows Spider-Man basically being bad, because that's what J. Jonah Jameson wants. And I'm like, and they're thinking about giving it to this new guy and not to Peter. And Peter's been here for years. Even the other guy, the J. Jonah Jameson's second right-hand guy, he even says, like, Peter's been here for years. Why didn't he get the promotion? Well, no, we got to do a stupid competition. So, and all that leads to is Eddie Brock cheats, creates a fake-ass photo, and then Peter calls him on it, and then Eddie Brock, that's his reason now he goes to a church and prays to God to kill Peter Parker. And that's when the symbiote comes in and turns him into Venom. Because of that subplot. And I don't remember if I don't think that was the case in the comic. It wasn't just one instance. It was Eddie Brock. I don't even think he worked for the Daily Bugle. Eddie Brock worked for a rival newspaper company, and he could just never get the shot, and he was just jealous of Peter, which makes sense. He could never get those shots that Peter got. But in this, he gets a better shot than Peter right from the beginning. And then he gets, already getting set up to get his own promotion. And then he's a dumbass and makes a fake photo and then is acting all angry later. And you ruined my life. And you did this to me. And I'm like, no, you did it to yourself, dumbass. Yeah, dumbass. You did it to yourself. Fucking making a fake ass photo and trying to sell it to the Daily Bugle. Surprised they even took the photo, and even paid you for it. I mean, come on, man. What the fuck were you thinking? So that's just a shitty script. This is an awful screenplay because you can't feel anything for Eddie Brock, because at least in the comic storyline, you kind of felt for him. He was talented, but he could just never get there. He could never get that photo. He could never get it because Peter was always there. And he never understood why. And Peter would always be in there, and he'd always steal the spotlight away from him. And make it tough for him to make a living. Because, his rival newspapers asked him to get pictures of Spider-Man, and he just, Peter would get every one of them. So I can understand. And I don't know why you didn't do that. Why would you do this lazy-ass bullshit? Because Sam Raimi, for some reason, or Avi Arad, or whoever the fuck it was, decided to put 50 million different plot lines in this fucking thing. So, that's why they wanted Venom, so just shoehorn him in there. And I don't blame Sam for being pissed at this movie, or the producers for shoehorning Venom in here. Because it just is so obvious. They're just trying to shove Venom up your ass in this movie. And it's just not pleasant at all. So miscast is one thing. It's bad enough you have Venom miscast, Eddie Brock is miscast, but then his motivation is fucking shitty as hell. All hell. It's like, oh, you did this to me. It's like, no, you did it to yourself, you fucking dumbass. So anyway, so you have that. And then you have, of course, Harry's going to remember who he is and go back to being Harry Goblin sometime. And he does. And he makes Mary Jane break up with Peter. And, of course, you had the whole stuff with the symbiote earlier, because that's the whole thing where Peter wants to go after, the Sandman, killed his Uncle Ben, and he's sleeping in his Spider-Man suit, and he's having dreams, I guess, about flashbacks of his Uncle Ben getting killed by the Sandman, and the symbiote sees this, and it takes him over. And then you have a scene where he wakes up, And I thought the score was shitty, where he wakes up and he sees himself, reflection of the black suit and on the skyscraper, the windows. And he swings off. I'm powerful. I feel so powerful. This feels great. And then what? No, nothing. That scene has no impact. It's just like, whoa, it's just 5 seconds. He has the black suit. Now let's go back to stupid drama. Nice. And then, eventually, I guess in this fucking movie, the symbiote isn't, it creates the suit, but the suit isn't the symbiote itself. The symbiote is the suit. What the fuck? Peter couldn't take off the suit, if I remember correctly. The symbiote was the suit. Like, the symbiote would just come and flow onto him, and the symbiote would change his clothes, and the symbiote would do all this stuff. We don't have that in this movie. Why not? That's cool. He could change clothes. He could change his appearance. That's what helped Venom. Venom could change into anybody. And that's why he scared the shit out of Mary Jane in one of the comics. Because he basically, came in acting like Peter. And she was so used to him wearing the black suit. And he scared her so much she's in the corner crying. Venom has so much capability to be an excellent villain. Because he's an intelligent, man, not this stupid cocky kid like Topher Grace portrayed Eddie Brock. He's a tough, intelligent man, and the symbiote just makes him even smarter and even more dangerous. And he just starts infiltrating every aspect of Peter's life and just tearing it apart. Venom is every bit of a villain as Goblin is in Spider-Man's mythos. And to see him as this throwaway fucking character is disrespectful. It just makes me want to punch this movie in the face. So you have that. And you also have Peter. Peter in this movie just seems like a fucking dweeb. He's a dweeb. He's a spaz. And it's like you don't really care. There's a scene in the early in the movie where Harry's beating on him. I'm like, just kick his ass. I don't really care. Spider-Man's supposed to be cool, kind of nerdy, but not like this. This is horrible. This is awful. This is a guy where I'd be like, man, this guy's a complete dork. So anyway, and I know dorks because I can say I am a nerd, so I know nerds. But this guy's even nerdier than me in this movie. So, anyway, you get the whole stuff where he goes after Sandman. He's got the black suit on now, which I guess he could just put on. It's not a symbiote. The symbiote isn't attached to him until he puts on the suit, and then it just stays on him because the script said so. It's just fucked up the symbiote angle so much. And there are moments where it showed potential, like where he's being angry, he's being impulsive, when he goes after Sandman and supposedly kills him, turns him into mud in that one short scene in the subway, and some good effects, where he puts his head against the subway train, the oncoming train, and shaves off half his face. And you have the whole thing where he's angry, he's yelling at him, it's like, Ben Parker is like, what does it mean to you? Everything! That scene had potential. And then he had to kind of end it with some corny-ass line where he kills Sandman, supposedly, turns him into mud, and he's like, good riddance. I'm like, good riddance? Good riddance? The fuck is this? Well, might as well just say good grief while you're at it, Charlie Brown. So anyway, there he goes. So then he goes in and tells Aunt May that, the guy who killed Uncle Ben, Spider-Man killed him. What? Spider-Man doesn't kill people. It's like, oh, okay, all right. And then the symbiote, for some fucking reason, turns Peter emo. Emo Peter Parker. It's as bad as it sounds. Everyone's heard about this. When people think of Spider-Man 3, they think of emo Peter Parker for good reason. With putting his hair down and fucking acting like a complete fucking tool. Walking around, being a dick to everybody, wanting to put his dick in Betty Brant. Yeah, and the whole sort of thing where now he's super confident for some reason, but he's strutting around town, and it's just so fucking embarrassing. What was Sam Raimi thinking? What were the producers thinking? What was Sony thinking? Like, when you see the dailies of this shit with Peter Parker strutting around like a fucking dumbass, Who in their right mind looked at that and said, that's great, let's keep that in the movie? If they could have done anything, delete those fucking scenes out of this damn movie because they're so fucking terrible. Those scenes by themselves are some of the worst scenes I've ever seen in a superhero movie. And by themselves automatically turn this movie to shit. The movie's already complex enough, more complex than it has any right being, and you throw in this fucking corny ass bullshit, and it just kills the movie. It just kills it right then and there when Peter starts strutting around like he's fucking Tony Manero from this, Saturday Night Fever. And then he go, like I'm a ladies man, it's fucking awful. Like those scenes are even gayer than any scenes in Staying Alive. Staying Alive is a gay movie. One of the gayest movies I've ever seen. And these scenes are gayer. Totally. He goes and gets a new wardrobe and he's strutting and doing the air hump. You're like, what the fuck is this? And then later in the film, he goes into the club where Mary Jane's now working as a singer. And he starts doing dancing at a jazz club with fucking Gwen Stacy, showing off his powers to everybody. And dig on this. And you're like, what the fuck is this? Like literally, I was just speechless. When I was watching this, those scenes were just. That was my reaction to those scenes, dancing scenes. It was unbelievable. A little drool coming out of the bottom of my mouth. It was horrible. It was just like I didn't have anything to say, and I'm like, and my mind was going like, what the fuck is this? What is this doing in a Spider-Man movie? Like the beginning of the movie, what the fuck is this fucking Broadway shit doing in my Chicago bullshit doing in my movie Spider-Man film? Then you go in, dig on this. You know what? Hey, Spider-Man 3. How about you do this? How about you suck on this? Fucking piece of shit. Yeah. Suck on that, motherfucker. That's something you can do. Suck on that. So anyway, it is, God, awful. It's fucking terrible. So, yeah, that scene, I don't have to go any more in depth on that scene. That scene is horrible. It's notoriously terrible. And Gwen does the right thing. You did this just to get, for her, to make her jealous of me. What an asshole. Leaves him. He gets in a fight with some security guard, bouncer guy. He ends up knocking Mary Jane down. He's like, what happened to you, Peter? It's like, who are you? I don't know. And then that's when he goes to the clock tower. I probably forgot some shit. I think Harry woke up and got his memory back and I don't give a fuck. And he had the whole sort of thing where he goes to the clock tower now. And that's one scene I actually really like. I thought they handled that really well. That's one thing they really did well, the clock tower scene where he goes at the clock tower and, uses the bell on the bell tower to get the symbiote off of him. And then, of course, now we get Topher Grace's Venom and, shoehorned in, the last 20-25 minutes of the film. And then you get to the climax of the movie, which fucking sucks. The climax it's very lackluster and not worth the wait. That's the problem. It's not worth the fucking wait. Of course, I forgot the earlier fight that Peter had when he was still emo Peter, and he goes in and he's not wearing his costume. There's a lot of this in this movie. A lot of unmasked Spidey. There's maybe 2 or 3 scenes where he just has his whole costume on. Even in the final fight at the end, when he's fighting Venom, he's got his mask off because it was cut up. So why don't you just leave it on? No matter if it's cut up or not. Leave it on. What's the point of taking it out? Oh, Venom took it off. Yeah, so what? Grab your mask, put it back on. Who cares? Don't even write it in there where Venom has to take his mask off. He already knows who he is. What's the fucking point? I mean, what's the point? He already knows he's Peter. So anyway, so he has a whole sort of scene where it's Mary Jane is in grave danger. We had that in the first film. We had that in the second movie. We got in the third movie now, and it just seems fucking. It's just cliche. You've had enough. You've seen it. Been there, done that. She's stuck in a taxi. 80 feet 80 stories above, and Venom, of course, I'm go back to the whole thing with the Harry fight, where he's emo Spidey. And he says that shitty line of dialogue. Oh, was Goblin Jr. gonna cry? I'm like, wow. That's bad. Are Goblin Jr. gonna cry now? Coming from the guy who cries all the damn time in this movie? Shut the fuck up! You have no right to talk. You cry more than fucking Mary Jane in this movie. Shut up! What the hell? So then you have the whole thing where get in the fight with Harry, and it's lame because they're not dressed up as the Goblin, or Peter isn't dressed up as Spidey, and it's just crashing around the fucking mansion, and he throws a Goblin bomb at him. Boom, disfigures half his face, and then get into that fucking bullshit with the goddamn butler suited up. That fucking scene, oh my god. Wow, one of the dumbest fucking scenes in a script. One of the shittiest. I mean, I can't even believe. I made me thinking about it. I cannot even believe somebody would greenlight a script with that fucking scene in it. I'll get into it. So now you get to the climax. Mary Jane is stuck in the fucking taxi, 80 stories above, 80 stories high. And Venom has, I guess, symbiote webbing, but it's really weak. Like, literally, it just falls apart. If it just stays, it just seems like it just falls apart as when the plot wants it to. When the plot wants things to get a little more interesting, and a car to come flying down, or Mary Jane to fall out of the taxi, or something to happen where it gets her in danger, the symbiote webbing's got to break. Because it doesn't make any goddamn sense. Because remember correctly, Venom's webbing is stronger than Spider-Man's webbing. So it should not be breaking. But I know that, the producers and writers don't know how to do Venom correctly, because when Venom first shows up, he's the antithesis of intimidating. Venom's supposed to be an intimidating, scary-ass motherfucker. And what happens when Venom shows up? He climbs on a wall, starts talking to Sandman, trying to get him to join him and beat Spider-Man. And what do I hear coming out of Venom's mouth? The voice of Topher Grace. Yeah, that's intimidating. Hearing that, we gotta get Spider-Man. I can't even do it right, because I can't. I mean, what the fuck did they do to Venom? What the fuck did they do to Venom? What the fuck did they do to this guy? They fucked him up. They made him a fucking joke. Casting Topher Grace is already a fucking joke enough, but now he shows up and he's not ripped. Even when he has the symbiote on, it could have, made him bigger, because he's a weak guy. So maybe the symbiote said, "I'm going to improve you," which the symbiote tends to do a lot. Even Carnage isn't that strong of a guy, but the symbiote made him bigger, made him stronger, gave him more muscles. But no, we don't do that. He looks just like Spider-Man, but with a Venom head. It looks so half-assed. And he's got the white spider on his chest, but you barely see it. You don't see it because Venom has barely any fucking screen time in this movie. Because he's just thrown in there as fan service. But you know what? It's fan disservice. Because it's a slap in the face, a slap in the dick, a slap in the balls, and a slap in the ass. They have Venom like this. I want to see Venom, but not like this. Not like this. Because Topher Venom, supposed to be intimidating motherfucker. He looks short. He looks lame. He looks half-assed. And he has the voice of Topher Grace. What the fuck are you thinking? What he doesn't even say "We are Venom." You don't hear this, for instance. We are Venom. You don't hear that kind of. I mean, that's good. I think that's pretty good. Must kill Spider-Man. That's better than whiny ass Topher Grace voice. You understand? You ruined my life. You ruined us. Now they're gonna ruin you. So, and then of course the whole stuff where he does the tongue thing. You don't see that in here. He doesn't use his tongue. He doesn't go, "We are Venom." Blah. You don't get that kind of stuff. No. You get nothing. You get nothing. You don't even see Venom most of the time. You see Venom maybe 4 times, and they're not memorable moments. Majority of the time, you see Venom, he's got his, the face on with the teeth and tongue, and then he puts it off, and it's Topher Grace as Eddie Brock Jr., talking to Peter. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? In the comic, yes, he showed his face. But it was at good moments. At proper moments in the comic. Where, it was like, holy shit, Eddie Brock, ah! But then he went back to Venom. Because he knew that was intimidating and scary. No! Here's just like Topher Grace with some fake fucking sharp teeth. You don't understand. I'm gonna kill you and ruin you. You took my girlfriend away from me. I'm gonna take yours away. And it's like, and then of course there's a plot earlier. It's like, he thought Gwen was his girlfriend. I'm like, Gwen isn't even your girlfriend. Even Gwen even said you're not his girlfriend. So you're some delusional motherfucker, but that's not really established as well. I mean, in the comic, Eddie Brock was obsessed with Peter Parker because he kept screwing him over. He kept he kept stealing his thunder. Remember correctly. Or was he obsessed with Spider-Man? I think it was Peter Parker, though. I swear to God it was Peter Parker. If it's not, and it's Spider-Man, my bad. I haven't read the Venom comics in a while. But damn sure, I'm going to see if I can find the Venom comics by Todd, with Todd McFarlane, and read that storyline. It's a hell of a lot better than this shit. So then you have the whole fucking climax. Venom, Sandman team up. Mary Jane's trapped. Spider-Man has to save her. Spider-Man earlier before goes to Harry for help. Tries to ask him to help him. He's like, help me, I need your help, man. And he's like, fuck you, you blew up half my face, you motherfucker, get the fuck out of here. That's not really what he said, but he might as well have. It's like, what are you doing here? Get out of here. And so then he goes, and Spider-Man shows up. It's supposed to be an epic return moment, but it's not that epic. He jumps in front of an American flag, which is so cliched, and it was a great moment in the first film, but it was because of the context. Because when the first movie had that scene where he goes in front of the American flag, the movie came out at a time when America was hurting with 9/11. And seeing it here just seems like, well, what are you doing with this? It's America. Then he swings in, tries to save Mary Jane. Sandman fucks him up. Venom comes in, knocks him around a couple times. Topher Grace, shows his face. So it's not really Venom. It's Eddie Brock, Eddie Brockster, Eddie Monster, Eddie Munster. It's Eddie Munster. Yes! Eddie Munster. It's not Venom, it's Eddie Munster. Because it doesn't even show his fucking Venom face half the time. So he's Eddie Munster from the fucking Munsters. So Eddie Munster shows up, tells them all this shit. Peter's trying to talk him out of it. They keep falling. Mary Jane keeps falling. And you're like, just fall and die already. Who cares? And then you cut away from, these climax to stupid-ass news show segments with shitty acting by the actors involved. It was mostly the newscaster, especially the female newscaster. Her acting was horrible. So it seems so fake. And I'm like, cut back to the action. I don't care about the news. I don't want to watch the news. I don't watch the news. Go back to the goddamn action sequence. It's not that exciting, but it's better than watching the fucking news. So to go back, go to the action scenes. Sandman turns into a Bobo. A giant Abobo. He looks like fucking a Bobo from the Double Dragon game. It's really bad. It looks like a Bobo or a Bobo from the fucking Double Dragon movie. That's even worse. So he turns into a giant fucking Abobo. Venom and Sandman tag team on Spidey. Sandman starts pummeling Spidey with his big fist. He starts fisting Spider-Man. And the newscaster, oh my God, I've never seen such a brutal atrocity, brutality before on Spider-Man. I'm like, yeah, because he's getting raped by this movie. That's why Spidey's getting raped. That's why I've never seen so much brutality, because this movie's just raping Spidey up the ass. So, with this shit-covered dick, just, oh my God, it's so brutal. But that's more brutal than what you see in this movie, because it just hits Sandman, punches him a couple times. It's not like it's like, oh my God, oh, he's got a broken arm, oh, no. So, we think he might be toast, but he gets saved by Harry, because you know why? You know why Harry shows up as Harry Goblin at the end to save Spider-Man and help his friend? Because his fucking butler shows up. And he's, looking around and just thinking about helping Mary Jane and Peter, his friends. And the butler shows up and he says, I knew your father, and I tended to his wounds the day he died, and I'm gonna tell you that those wounds were created by his own glider. not by Spider-Man, pretty much. And he's like, what? It was like, no, your father loved you very much, da 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 da, and then, go save your friends. Spider-Man didn't kill your father, he killed himself. That's not the exact lines of dialogue, but that's just the entire gist of that fucking scene. So, yeah. So that's fucking lazy screenwriting 101 right there. Oh, we need to have Harry become a good guy so we can save Peter, because Peter needs some help because he's getting beat up on by two villains. He needs some help. How about we have the butlers to tell Harry some fucking information that he hid for all these years, that he should have told him in the first place, but he didn't because he's a shitty butler and a horrible human being to keep that under wraps for years, not tell the who you consider he even said, I love you. Well, if you love him, why didn't you tell him the truth about his father's death from the beginning? Why? Why the fuck did you not do that? If you really love somebody, you tell them the truth, no matter how much it hurt. And really, it wouldn't hurt that much. You just say that he killed himself. Spider-Man didn't do anything, did anything wrong. Your father went insane, and then you never have any of this shit. And then to make matters worse, Harry has half his face disfigured now, scarred. He took the goblin serum, so now he's fucked up his body. And he did all this for bullshit, for nothing, because the butler knew all along what happened to his father, but he didn't tell him because he's an asshole. Great! Fucking wonderful! It's fucking fantastic! What a fucking shitty script! I mean, come on! So, I mean, really, Harry should have just been like, what? So you knew this all along. So you knew who. How long have you known this? Well, since it happened. So you knew it since it happened. So you love me? Oh, if you really loved me, you would have told me that earlier. So I didn't scar half my fucking face because I got in a fight with Spider-Man. He threw a goblin bomb at my face. That would be nice. So I didn't have fucking scars all over my fucking face, and I didn't take a fucking experimental serum that made me a little bit fucking nuts for no goddamn reason. Because I thought Spider-Man killed my father, and I was going to do everything I could to enhance myself like my father, to beat Spider-Man and revenge my father's death. But you're telling me now that after I fucked up my face, that that never happened. Spider-Man didn't kill your father. He killed himself. All right. Okay. All right. You're fired. I mean, that's seriously, that's horrible. So then of course that works. Now he's a hero. He shows up on his fucking flying snowboard, saves the day, throws a goblin bomb, blows up Sandman in the back of his head. Makes him, gets him away from Spidey, and so. You have this just clusterfuck of an action sequence where Mary Jane's falling over, Spidey trying to save her, big ass Sandman's chasing after Spidey and Harry, and then the Venom is coming into play, and then eventually Harry blows up Sandman like really easily. He just shoots 2 rockets off of his snowboard, and they blow up, and Sandman falls apart. Fucking easy. Could have had some Air Force jets come in 2 seconds, in no time, and just fire missiles at his ass, and it would have been done and over with. That was really easy. And then Venom shows up, fights Spidey. Of course, no, it's Eddie Munster, because Venom doesn't show his face. It's Eddie Munster most of the time. So Eddie Munster fights Spider-Man. Spider-Man, all these metal pipes fall down, and Spidey realizes, oh, sound hurts the symbiote. Because earlier, and then he puts all the pipes and, clangs them, and the symbiote freaks out, and, Spider-Man gets Eddie out, Eddie out of the Venom, out of the symbiote. Symbiote grows huge, like the Super Shredder, like it's going to cause some shit. And Spidey smacks the metal bars, the metal pipes, and then it freaks out, and then he takes a goblin bomb for some fucking reason and blows it up. And of course, then Eddie goes in after the symbiote at the same time and dies. The symbiote. So yeah, fucking kill Venom too. Yeah, let's do that. Kill him off in a fucking shitty ass way. And I think there was like in the end credits was there some in the end credits of Dr. Kirk Connors in the Venom sample? I don't fucking remember. I don't fucking care. And then even the ending was just so goddamn fucking soap opera bullshit. Harry because Harry sacrificed himself for Spider-Man because Venom was gonna kill him with the Goblin board, and he sacrificed himself. And now Mary Jane's holding his hand, crying her eyes out, and Peter's like, and then the Sandman shows up, and he's like, "I'm sorry for what I did. I didn't mean to do it. I was desperate, and he I just needed his car, and he told me to go home and drop the gun and go home. And then my partner showed up, and my finger slipped, and I pulled the trigger, and I killed your uncle. I'm so sorry. Can you forgive me?" And Peter's like, "I forgive you." It's like, "Oh yeah," and then Sandman fades away. It's a fucking never land. He just fades away like fairy dust all the way down to fucking London. And then Peter cries his balls his eyes out. Harry's dying. It's like, "I'm here with my friends. You're my friends." And then Peter's like, and then Mary Jane's like, and they're both crying like, he's crying like, they're both crying like bitches. And then Harry dies, and the fucking sunset, like it's some goddamn fucking Hallmark movie or some shit. So fucking corny. And then the emotions feel so fake. It's just nothing to that scene. I don't feel any emotion. Because the lighting, the way it's set up, just so fake. And of course, I forgot. Oh, did he save Mary Jane? Of course he did. Of course he fucking saved Mary Jane. And the movie pretty much ends with Mary Jane singing a song at the new place she's working, like, "I'm through with love," and I'm like, "I'm through with this fucking movie." I'm like, through with that movie. And then it ends with Peter getting back with Mary Jane. And you're like, why? These two are terrible for each other. She's a bitch. She doesn't care about him. And he tries to help her or care about her, but she thinks she's jealous of him being Spidey. What the fuck is going on here? We don't need these two back together. I'd rather him get it on with Gwen Stacy instead. Anyway, yeah. That's Spider-Man 3. It's as bad as you could ever think it was. I mean, what were the critics thinking giving this a higher rating than the Amazing Spider-Man 2? Amazing Spider-Man 2 has issues, but it's a hell of a lot better than this shit. It's a lot more focused. It has all this stuff going on, but it's a lot more focused in this movie. Because this movie has way too much shit going on. Peter and MJ's, fractured, fucked up relationship. The whole competition within the Daily Bugle with Peter and Eddie Brock. The whole thing where Spider-Man loves, New York loves Spider-Man now. The whole thing with him and Gwen Stacy. The whole fucking thing with the symbiote. The whole thing with Harry. And then he wants to kill Spider-Man. Then he gets a fucking amnesia. Forgets everything. And then somehow remembers out of the blue. So you have that whole thing, the Harry Osborn storyline. Then you have on top of that, you have the Sandman storyline with the friggin', with him and his daughter, trying to get help for her. And then you have the whole Sand storyline with Eddie Brock. And then when he becomes Venom, there's just way too much fucking shit going on. Then you have some sort of stuff. My camera's even fucking up. My camera's even getting all blurry. My camera's even like, whoa, you're right, there's too much shit going on. Hey! What? What are you doing? So even my camera's like, this is too much. But yeah, seriously. And then you had the whole stuff with maybe Peter dealing with revenge because of the whole thing with Sandman killed his dad, killed his Uncle Ben. He's the one who really killed his Uncle Ben. There's way too much fucking shit going on. And not enough attention to the things that happen. Not enough attention to those moments. I think it should have been a lot more simple movie. If you just wanted Venom, it should have just been Venom. If Sam Raimi didn't want to do Venom, then his ass should have been fired and somebody else should have taken his place who would do Venom justice. I'm serious. Venom has a great storyline that could already make a great movie just with Venom. Sandman, if you just wanted Sandman, cool. Just stick with Sandman and then maybe have the Harry Goblin stuff. But Venom just was too much and they fucked up Venom. They shat on him. They took a big dump on Venom. They made him a fucking joke. And And the movie itself is just a melodramatic, boring, soap opera laden, fractured superhero film where the lead is unlikable, the lead's girlfriend is even more unlikable. The moments it tries to be funny and falls flat on its ass because none of the moments are funny. There's no moment in this film I laughed. I didn't chuckle once. So no attempt at humor at all worked in this film. And I just didn't think barely anything worked in this movie. There were some good effects at some points. There's maybe some decent action sequences with the Sandman and when Spidey saved Gwen Stacy. But the climax was lackluster. It seemed like it ended too quick. It seems like it was just half-assed. And then you have an ending where the two couples get back together again, and you just don't even feel that they should. Because you don't care. So, yeah, that's Spider-Man 3. I really don't know what to say about the film. It's rated out of 5 stars. I'm going to give Spider-Man 3 1. 1 is for the scenes with Sandman. I thought Thomas Haden Church was good. And I thought the action sequences that were there, the 2 fights Spidey had with Sandman, one-on-one, were not bad. I like those scenes. And I like the character Sandman. And I feel for the guy. I just wish he had more screen time with that character. And not this soap opera bullshit between Harry and Peter and Mary Jane. And Mary Jane doesn't like Peter. And Peter doesn't like Mary Jane now. And Mary Jane then goes in and tries to get in Harry's pants. I don't give a fuck about that. Okay? Sandman's more interesting. I feel more for this guy. And you pissed away that storyline. Or Venom. You pissed away that storyline too. So, and like I said, one scene where you had Peter and Harry had some good chemistry, and pretty much that's it for a couple action sequences that I thought were decent at best. That's it out of this entire movie. This is the worst Spider-Man movie ever made, in my opinion. The 70s live-action movies are better than this. The Japanese episodes of the Japanese TV show is better than this. That's my opinion. And I'm going to say it again. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is 10 times better. 10 million times better. 10 gajillion times better than this movie. So anyway, I don't really know what to say except thanks for watching my rant on Spider-Man 3, on Shitterman 3. And I will see you guys later. See ya.